All right. Hello, everyone. So, we have just finished Arcane. It's a very good show. I will not review it because everyone else and their grandmother's mother and stepmother and everyone else in between has reviewed it. If you want my opinion on it, probably a solid 8 out of 10. I really like it. I like the shit they did with Jinx, and I fully recommend watching it, especially if you've seen the first season. Um, if you haven't seen the first season and you plan to
Watch the
watch the
first
second
season.
season, you
Watch
should
the
probably
first
watch the first
season.
season first, and then
Or
watch
just
the
jump into the second season and be confused. That's also technically an option.
You
although
could do that.
ill-advised.
I would not suggest it though. Do not pull
But, like,
don't pull a
you
modern
could do
One
it.
Piece fan and try to join like episode 1018. It's not gonna work out well for you. Ugh. Anyway, so unfortunately, when watching TV shows, my brain works, and while I definitely enjoyed it, as my co-host can tell you very thoroughly, I was yapping almost the entire time about how shit this military defense was.
And confirmed. It lasted the entire episode.
Pretty much, yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I did. I really did. However, I have some things to say. And I think they handled it poorly, and the fact that my my personality is able to dissect things, I'm going to point this out. I do not work for the military, so I don't actually have that great of an understanding of it. However, this is gonna be my dumbest point I think I've ever made. I did watch Kingdom, which does technically make me a genius mastermind when it comes to war tactics. Just saying.
Does Code Geass also count in this bubble?
Technically. I have seen both Code Geass and Kingdom, all 5 seasons of Kingdom. So really, when you think about it, I am basically a military general at this point. Oh, God. You know what? That's my Oda level foreshadowing of me talking about how eventually I'm going to do some Kingdom content. How do you like that foreshadowing? Anyway.
Oda could definitely do better.
Anyway, getting into the actual point I have. I'm very bad with names, so I'm very terrible with names, especially for the show. I will try it, but my co-host will be correcting me on a lot of them. That is kind of their job. And then your guys' job is to tell me in the comments how much I suck. Just so I get boosted in the algorithm, because it doesn't matter if they're negative or positive comments. As long as comments are there, I get rewarded for it. So yeah. Anyway, so going over the general information we know for our defenders. Now, we kind of want the defenders to win. The military force of, what's their name?
Ambassador? Or wait, of the defenders, which would be Jace's force.
Yeah, so Jace's force is defending. We see where they are defending. They are defending this area, the main building, and they are primarily being invaded through a naval assault, which is very difficult for the attackers, as obviously they would have to break through defenses. On top of that, they would also have to break through multiple layers of defense and the ocean itself. So let's get into that. First off, we have only been shown 5 ships, and later on in what is it? Where is it? We see a picture where there's only like 3. There are not that many ships. If I'm trying to find it,
It's got to be somewhere. Sometime soon, hopefully.
Come on.
There we go.
So
There's
we
only
see
like
2 ships, correct? And then they so we can assume that there are at least 5 ships. Now, first off, we do start the battle in the middle of everything, which does make it rather messy. However, we do find out a few things. Their main objective is to seal the gate and prevent the attackers from, well, attacking and conquering them, right? So, but first thing we see is Vi, a frontline, heavy-duty, melee-based fighter, first off, on the high ground, with no projectile weapon whatsoever, and she is carrying a wounded individual. Both of those things are terrible. I'm gonna start this off right now. Vi, I don't care. This is a military assault, and you are a frontline fighter. Due to her fighting style, she has a very obvious melee focused style, which is not great when you are, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand feet away.
Feet in the air.
Meaning that in order to gain anything, it would most likely not benefit. And we're also going to talk about some other stuff later. So, first thing I'm talking about is the railgun. So, what do I have a problem with? First off, the cargo. Okay? The cargo is garbage. The cargo container is an absolute travesty of a shot. Now, you could argue that since they are not exactly filled with the most amount of time in the world, they're not necessarily, strapping together the best ammunition. But from what we can tell, they do have an obvious contraption for the use of it, and they do use it to at least somewhat great effect to attack the ships. Which then, they get shot at, yada yada. And where is it? First off, okay, so see here, it does solid. And then we get to this. Manual labor when it comes to redistributing ammo. That is a horrible thing. Where is it? So they are spending time and energy, right? They are spending time and energy to insert ammo into said
railgun. Yep.
But also, when you check on the building here in this instance, you will notice a very interesting thing. And that is that the ammo that they are storing cannot be seen anywhere. In any of the shots, you see maybe one or two other shipping containers, which means that they, simply put, are not carrying enough ammo for their cannon to fire a substantial amount of time. On top of that, they're fighting against, while not necessarily projectile-based combatants, they do obviously carry, bows, arrows, stuff like that. And they have their primary gunner not wearing any substantial armor on his head or even vitals, because you can actually even see he gets shot in the neck. And while that most likely would be very hard in a military situation, especially from below him, which is what this is primarily most likely designed for, you can even see in the very shot I have paused it, his face is not covered.
Unguarded.
His head is unguarded with a wall literally stopping at his shoulders. And now, while you may be arguing, oh, that's obviously for visibility, okay, cool. However, we do know for a fact that he does, in fact, have more sophisticated armor. And we know this due to, where is it? 4, I believe. Episode 4.
Would be 4. Maybe not.
Ooh. It's the one where they invade. We get to see the task force.
I believe it should be either episode 2 or 3. Is it episode 3?
Oh, we see it. Yeah, we see it here. Okay, so where is it? We need a very good look at them. Oh, there we go. Okay, so while I will admit that they're obviously still poorly armored, they're at least better than what they have. Also, considering the fact that all of these characters have Hextech-based weapons, which were not destroyed during this. They weren't destroyed during this, so where are they right now? I have no idea. And keep in mind, once again, this character right here, I forget his name?
No, I don't remember his name either.
Okay, but simply put, he has a shield, which is utterly useless in the case of where he is in episode 9, where he is primarily fighting he's a canner. He's using a cannon. So getting into it, he has terrible ammunition. He doesn't have very good ammunition. On top of that, they're using bad ammunition. Plus, from what we can gather, the troops themselves have not actually suffered. The enemy troops have not suffered a notable enough consequence where we straight up see that they are still on the ocean. They are still in a very vulnerable situation when you have an actual railgun firing at them. You literally see, you can observe him. If this shot would have gone off, he would have most likely sunk another ship. On top of that, since he's using blunt force, you would assume it is for crowd control. However, it's not working as crowd control. We can clearly see him constantly trying to aim at the ships. He is trying to sink the ships. So having a blunt force metal object clash against another blunt force metal object, just simply put, doesn't work. And it's not going to continue working unless you do something different about it. And you even see here, you can also see, for example, there are many, many, many ways to destroy and distract troops, which they have not gone through the effort of. We know that they have access to at least somewhat decent explosives. I'll give you a hint, Evan. You're probably gonna know where I'm going with this. But as you can see here, there are troops. Troops were originally stationed right here on the front lines, right in front of the docks. First off, that's a terrible position as well, because we can clearly see that they rammed the troops, most likely aiming for a blitz tactic, aka they were going to jump down and bum rush them and basically wipe them out. And on top of that, the way these defenses are set up, this boat crashed right behind them, making those shields that they put up utterly worthless. But on top of that, it is quite odd that they have this very narrow strip, almost enticing them. But you know what would entice them even more? If, say, this entire area were covered in rumble from...
Oh yeah, they could have just taken out the tower. Why didn't they do that?
If they used controlled explosive, they could have created what is essentially a blockade, forcing at least any opponents coming from this side to move to this direction or go the farther way around, which is hopefully where they would get artillery shot. They would be shot down from artillery, which is where okay, I guess I need to go to Vi again, which they would be shot down from
this tower,
because that's the tower we're referring to that I believe they would knock down in order to force them. If they were to put artillery right here, yes. Would it be in line with the enemy cannons? Yes. However, it would give them multiple angles and allow them to essentially snipe them out of existence. And if we go back to... Where is it? God. Okay. So, this tower right here is what I was referring to. You would obviously they could be trying to use a funnel tactic in which they are trying to get their opponents here. So maybe having railguns here and here, it could possibly lead to overall destruction and not necessarily well defended. However, we do see that they are placed here and they do have multiple towers in this area. Do you see what I'm referring to, Evan?
Yep.
Now, something we do actually notice with Vi is that this tower in particular right here is the one being stormed and conquered, which allows them... Oh, actually, I think these are a representation of where the railguns are. I think?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so if the railguns are right here, and this bridge is close to where the enemies are going to land, you know they're going to land here, and they do land here, so your prediction was spot on. This tower and this tower would be the primary areas you are going to want to secure, because your artillery is the lifeblood of this. First off, or not first off, because I've been yapping for a very long time, they should be sniping these guys instantly. The minute they are in line of fire, you knock them down. right? Shred through them before your ground forces need to be wasted on a battle. Second off, these 2 towers, they gotta go. They need to go. They gotta be destroyed. They gotta be whatever. Personally, I would destroy this one, use it as cover to either incentivize these boats to go right here, or obviously you could reinforce this section right here. That way, this boat or any other boats attacking could not circle in, right? Makes sense. But then there's these 2 bridges. So if these towers are compromised, you want to know what you have there? Explosives. Again, explosives are very crucial in kind of warfare like this, especially when the characters are more grounded. I know I'm using that term very loosely, but at the end of the day, bullets will kill these soldiers. Knives will kill these soldiers. Anything will kill these soldiers. They also do not have the ability to leap superhuman bounds. So in order to keep your artillery safe, especially this main cannon right here, as it is in a very good position where it can even be used to shoot the main entrance in order if the main enemy gets overrun, it's just a really good position. However, they don't properly secure the tower that is keeping its good position, well, good. And we actually see that in the war that happens. Vi actually comes from the exact tower we were talking about as it's getting overrun. And you could be arguing that her, running back is her just retreating because she was a close range combatant in a close range area that just got overwhelmed by numbers. However, you do blatantly see here that their attempt to reinforce it is 1 wall and 2 guys.
Wow, great job, guys. Do you want
This
a
is
participation trophy for reinforcing?
No, they're not getting a participation trophy. This is ass. It's actual ass. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. On top of that, look at this. So if this is so easily compromisable, which we can see because its tower would naturally be the first to fall just because that's the closest area for the troops, you would naturally want to have some sort of backup plan in order to keep your opponents from your essential railgun. You have access to some of the greatest artillery, obviously, on the planet, because it's a railgun shooting massive projectiles. It should be critical. We even see, boom, boom. It does its job. Not actually, but it at least tries. And it gets to the point where we also do see that this is terrible. I'm not going to fault them on this because maybe they didn't have enough time to barricade, but this is garbage. This is actual garbage. Look at the size of these windows. No cover, no nothing. You have to duck down, spring back up, duck down. And I know that is very commonly used for soldiers, particularly in World War I. They would poke up from the trenches. And against bow and arrow based fighters, it would not be as bad. But
they're also the most obvious windows in existence.
Yeah, also, they have their captains, like some of their essential military combatants, within cannon distance, which is actually ridiculous. Like, it is genuinely strange how they're just so bad. And then, unironically, the enemies help them. They blow up the bridge themselves. Now, to be fair, the cannon is on that bridge. But, dude, they unironically help them by cutting off access to that bridge, so that very easy to access charging point is just completely wasted now because that bridge is going to fall and then all that, right? And then you can see again, they have poor defenses, and it basically boils down to nothing. It was entirely a waste, meaning that these artillery, simply put, could not do the proper job that they were well assigned to do. And I'm not gonna give any credences or any problems to not being able to handle the troops, because that does boil down to tactics and all that. And I am going to give them shit for their actual tactics, but what I'm referring to is not knowing that Jinx was going to come in and save the day. you couldn't have known that. That was a random battle factor that was unrecognizable. However, there is another thing that we need to talk about, which is, where is it? Okay, first off, poison gas. That honestly should have won them right then and there, because from what we've seen, we have not seen a single notable member of the army use any sort of chemical gas, meaning that they have a massive advantage. And to be fair, this could be a do or die situation just due to the fact that chemical weapons are maybe not permitted in this universe. However, they are using them, which does mean that most likely they could, you know?
And they did earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, so
They went to Storm Zon.
yeah, so the presence they have acquired beforehand doesn't really support that motion, which means that most likely they could use chemical weapons, which means, hey, they should win. And on top of that, adding into the fact of chemical weapons, from what I do know about them, to be fair, I'm not super versed in this category. You know, boo-hoo, I don't know chemical warfare too well, right? But
How dare you call yourself to be a master tactician without knowing chemical warfare?
I said I watched Kingdom. That means me a general. That means me a mastermind. Okay. But anyway, so with chemical weapons, from what I have gathered, the wind obviously affects them very much, which could be benefit or detriment depending on where you are. However, thanks to it having high ground, because we clearly see right here, it's not a 1-to-1 scale. Obviously, we can see some differences when we see the map fully in display. However, we see that there are some major areas that you can lock down, which would instantly give you an advantage. So, where is it? Boom, right there. So, this is a shot of the primary battlefield. Most likely there would be spots in other areas, but for now, right here. This is everything that's going on, right? So, I want you to guess what would happen if we lock down just this section right here between these two stairs. And then on top of that, we add poison gas, because this is a relatively confined area, and our attackers are, well, they're trying to get inside and overtake the forces, because if they can't overtake them, they're obviously going to, well, continually be bombarded by artillery until they die, right? So a good tactic that they could have used is locking down this area right here, this primary staircase, which they did attempt to do. We actually see that in the scenario. I believe they had some barriers that they attempted to set up, which were just overrun consistently, because they tried to use most of their barriers, oddly enough, right here of all places, which is really stupid and really dumb, especially
Because they just avoided that area altogether.
well, they have an easy to access break. Like, when you look at the battlefield, you can literally see that they completely overrun them, just obviously due to higher military strength forces and, you know, stronger adversaries, right? But at the same time, where is it? I need pictures. Pictures.
Like, their barriers are, like, super small, too.
Yes, but that could also be to credence to the fact that they are considered police. But you can also see here, they have multiple barriers in this area. And then, where is it? Oh my god, just keep going. I don't need... Okay, so they're in that middle section. Where is it? Okay, so they have a decent chunk of barriers here, which is the worst spot for them. But then when you later look at the center position, or not the stairs, a primary choke, which I think was actually... Where was it? It was... God damn it. Where is it?
Like, the stairs have no defenses, like, at all.
Yeah, a primary choke point is not locked down, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, it is genuinely baffling when you... Where is it? Yeah, these stairs have nothing. They have nothing on them. Do you have... They are primarily fighting against the melee opponents, and they didn't bother to lock down the fucking high ground? Are you serious? Like, that is actually ridiculously stupid. You could have spent half the barriers and performed such an incredible defense. It would have undoubtedly killed anywhere from like 25 to 30% of the troops just trying to get up that barrier alone. And in a war of nutrition where your attackers don't have any way of resupplying, but you do since you are on a landmass and they are attacking by the Navy, it would lead to such a tremendous advantage that you would just automatically win. It's insane. And then on top of that, they only use it as a last minute effort in order to blow up the in order to blow up the mine, which doesn't even work. And once again, I bring it back to these stairs. Look at these stairs. They are empty. Unironically, these men right here might cause a tripping hazard, which might kill more opponents than what than some of the other soldiers that they bothered to waste. It is ridiculous. Even then, you can see right here. I need to ask you a serious question. That's smooth stone right there. What soldier is going to be able to climb up that? Evan?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
Like, at the end of the day, these are notable... These are relatively normal human beings, which means that if you layer this up with barricades, or hell, if you're really, really that desperate, I'll say it once, I'll say it again, put some fucking explosives there.
We'll just blow up the stairs.
Yep, it works. And you know what? That may be a waste of resources. However, if you want to do something else, I don't know. This universe has access to oil, though. Oh, wait, yeah, we saw gasoline prior. So they could very easily cover these stairs in gasoline, light them on fire, and boom. This was actually something that they used in, I believe, the 1500s during castle sieges. Sometimes they would boil... Obviously, it's shown as hot oil in modern day fantasy sort of stuff like that. They would pour hot oil. However, from what I gathered from original 1500s Dark Ages, that kind of area, they would actually boil water just because oil was such a valuable resource. To waste it all on only killing maybe 10 men was not a valid resource. But in this day and age where they have access to far more greater amounts of fuel, covering something like that in tar, gasoline, or oil and lighting it on fire, thus preventing troops from climbing up there, would naturally slow a lot of them down. And on top of that, from what we've seen, the gas grenades that they use don't have proper... They don't seem to move up that drastically and do stay relatively low to the ground, similar to, I would argue, gas weapons from World War I, meaning that this would actually most likely be a safe enough place to throw a gas grenade over. And since you lock this down, that would either force the opponents to retreat, but also at the same time, they would have to retreat while getting out a poisonous gas, and they would also have to dodge enemy bullet fire, which would most likely lead to just soldiers dying. And even if you want to be like, oh, their forces are naturally more organized and they would be able to retreat properly with their shields held up, naturally there would be some breakage just due to the people dying from the poisonous gas, as everyone does have a different tolerance of it. So, yeah. Although I will admit, Katie did do a really solid job. As a sniper, she did primarily look for targets. However, it was just kind of unfortunate that she managed to shoot at the one person who was wearing anti-magic bracelet.
Like, wow, you chose an amazing target who was immune to your shot.
Yeah, like
Great job, Caitlin.
she tried. I will give her credit. That's a lack of information. So, you know. But then where is it? Oh, and then also, okay, here we go. This chick.
They
Where
just
were
straight up
you?
have a mage on their side.
They yeah, exactly. They have a mage and she didn't show up until her forces were already conquered. Like, I get that she's a vital piece of, like, she's a vital piece of the puzzle, right? So you don't want to lose her. However, it's pretty much do or die. And the fact that she only appeared after after the battle was already lost is just kind of lackluster. And we even see that she has access to barriers that can block gunfire, which would be so beneficial. Because watch this. Boom. Right then and there. And to be fair, okay, single target. She can only put up maybe a few of those barriers at a time. She can't cover the whole crowd of barriers, right? However, one is more than nothing. So, yeah. One is more than zero. And it just kind of leads to the point where, once again, I'm asking, what are they doing, right? And and on top of that, her barriers could most likely push the poisonous gas into a more confined container in order to keep her opponents from escaping, meaning that, hey, she would, win with poison gas again. And yeah. Oh, and I haven't even talked about my favorite thing, which is, where is it? Ah, here it is. So, do you know what I'm about to say? I'll give you a hint. Artillery.
Yeah, why didn't they just put a cannon off on the giant thing?
There is no cannon around here. At all.
Like, they could just put a cannon on that.
And to be fair, I do know it's significantly taller than everything else around it. So you could argue the range of, anything. However, from what we've gathered, the characters in this seem to at least have a decent chunk of range on their weapons. So it's just kind of like, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, so I guess this is the best shot we're gonna get. So this is where I'm talking about, right here. Now, is this a great angle to be firing at? No. Truth of the matter is, you honestly, if you're trying to use a crowd control, or if you're trying to use crowd control artillery, you would most likely not want to use this, just because it's so far of a distance that firing at an angle like this, you would most likely have it either smack into the ground at that speed, therefore creating a crater, which wouldn't necessarily help you. Actually, it might even put you at a disadvantage, considering in World War One, I do believe they used artillery craters to certain World War One platoons, I believe, would move in between the craters created created by artillery as cover to jump into. That way they could get closer to the enemy's trench without being bombarded continuously with bullets out in the open, right? So you could, unfortunately, waste that. However, you know what doesn't make craters? Water. And you know what gives you a much greater range? Higher up. And to be fair, it would most likely miss. However, having that sort of range would most likely allow you access to this far of a shot instead of this far of a shot without arcing your shots at all, which is beneficial when you're being laid siege to and you do have the artillery advantage. So yeah, I'm just kind of, man. I've been yapping about this for a while, but I'm just very passionate about it, and I think they failed at a lot of things. And while it's not a horrible existence, I would say. It is rather lackluster, especially compared to the technology they have at the time. And it just kind of leads to me going, well, uh, they kind of didn't need to have their final battle if they just locked the fuck in. um, but yeah. Also, on top of that, the fact that they don't have that many explosives is just really pathetic. Like, they did not use any sort of explosives when dealing with an enemy that seemingly outnumbers them, which is it's just sad. Like, it's just sad. They didn't even set any landmines, man. It seemed like their whole plan was funneling them into this cone of death. They wanted to funnel their enemies into,
And they failed, and they fumbled it.
they they wanted to make this the Pentagon of Doom, right? And so even when looking at their plan, they didn't bother to set any mines? Like, are you kidding? Your whole plan was having them land either here or here and beating the shit out of them. That was your whole
And they
plan.
chose neither.
And you didn't even bother to put in the mines, even though you knew exactly where they were going to be. You knew exactly where they were going to be. And guess what? You were right. They showed up at the exact area you predicted. So it's just kind of ridiculous to see. And then on top of that, I've mentioned the railguns multiple times. It's just shit. Like, you see this right here. You see the railgun. I go, hey, that's a pretty good position for a railgun. I think it's well done. I think it's well executed. The bridge is terrible, but you can always fix that with a grenade or two, right? And then the artillery, again, I'm disappointed in it. They fire crates at it, and they do nothing. This is why you don't have flat-faced objects, because guess what? Those are denting the enemy ships. Is that useful in disorienting any crew members, any cannons, anything? Yes. However, when dealing with naval vessels, you want to pierce their armor. Why do you want to pierce them at a fine point? Because if you pierce them and you cause them to sink and they start taking on water, that not only messes with their movement, it also messes with them being able to fire their cannons. Because we actually do know when certain ships take on too much water, they can start to tilt from one side to another. They can start to sink, which can lower the actual ship itself, and even in some terrible instances, it can cause the ship to even turn over because the weight imbalance plus all the water moving in mean it's losing buoyancy, and it's just far better to pierce them. So using block-like armor just doesn't even make sense, especially when considering that the way these railguns seem to work is they literally just seem to be grab a piece of metal, shove it in there, and fire. And they use shipping containers, which are also hollow, which most likely means that when they hit a solid metal structure, like for example, I don't know, the front of a boat, they don't do anything. Like, you know, it. It's bad. It's really bad. I hate the artillery. I don't know how they did it so poorly in this. And I love the show, man. I love the show. The show's good. The show's good. I need to stress this enough. But man, Kate, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? I thought you wanted to live with your girlfriend in peace, and you failed. You failed. You got bailed out because Jinx had the plot armor. You only won today because Jinx came in clutch. Why is Jinx? I never thought I would be talking about the character to save the town and Jinx in the same sentence. I should not be saying that.
That should not be part of the same sentence.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. And it's bad. Also, on top of that, it seems like they don't utilize any Hextech whatsoever, except for maybe the artillery, which is just not great, despite the fact that it was actually a key plot point. I'm pretty sure in what was it, 3, that they were going to, or no, in, oh, okay. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it was a key plot point in,
Why is it not working?
I don't know. I believe it was in 1 that they were going to create a task force, or not a task force, but they could create an army with Hextech, you know? And it's just kind of like, where is any of it? Because they only use it for the artillery, which makes no sense. You should be giving high priority individuals access to greater weapons. That way they can literally bully the competition and then put them in strategic areas, which they don't. And it just gets to the point where, actually, we even see here, where is it? 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 That's 1, 2. Jeez. I know at least 3 people have Hextech. And mysteriously, I mean, to be fair, the woman, what's her name? Kate's temporary girlfriend who betrays her.
Maddie.
Yes, Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie.
So Maddie has access to Hextech, and they position her with Kate despite the fact that she has no prior ranged weapon. Like, from what I've, hold on, where is it? Bang 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 bang. What? Where is it? The scene where they suit up. You remember this, right? Is it?
I want to say, is it Heavy's the Crown?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, where is it? We know that she has Hextech. On top of that,
He has Hextech. Caitlyn has Hextech. They all have some sort of Hextech weapon. The hell, that shield's probably Hextech.
actually, we do see the emblem. Where is it? Gotta pause at the right time. Right here.
Okay, so
He
yeah,
would have-
it does have Hextech.
That does have a Hextech crystal.
And Vi's gauntlets are very much Hextech. They
Yeah.
are literally glowing.
So we have multiple characters who have access to Hextech, except him. He does not count. But these 4 have access to Hextech, right? Actually, one of them is a close range. Actually, 2 of them are close range fighters with Hextech weapons. And let's go to 9, shall we? Let's go to 9 again. Where are they? Where are they? Answer the question. Where are our 2 close range Hextech wielding combatants?
In the freaking artillery position.
In the artillery tower. For some unknown reason. Why? Well, you can say it's because one of them has a good shot. However, I would argue that the one who primarily uses a rifle, aka the fish guy, would most likely have a better shot than this random guy who has only ever shown interest in physical combat. Because he was boxing with Vi and I think it was 5? Right? Or anyway, he was in the fighting with Vi when Vi was in her little depression arc.
Yeah.
So he's only ever shown prowess for physical combat, and he has a Hextech shield. And not only do we not see that shield is being used anywhere, we see that he is on artillery, which you could argue he has a really good shot. Okay, fine, I get it, I understand, I'm, as a projectile connoisseur myself, uh, I fully understand. I also get pissed when they take away Ryan's fighter strike. I'm never gonna live that down. Um, but yeah, safe to say that overall, this was handled very poorly, and to have someone like him with such a prevalent physical advantage take the spot of artillery when that could easily be replaced and actually is replaced by another random soldier when you could be having him defend the crucial to combat artillery is just ridiculous. It does not make sense. And it's just super lackluster. Like, then you add on to the fact that, they clearly know their way around the city and they know what they can and cannot use and, should be able to accomplish. It just leads to the question of, why did you guys not just win? I get
Yeah,
that
like they should have won.
they should have won. Jinx should have not even needed to show up. And I know, I'm being very nitpicky, but at the same time, I've said it before. I'm not a military genius, okay? But if I can figure this out, I'm Joe Schmo in this instance. I am Joe Schmo. So why is Joe Schmo being able to argue about this? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, yeah. So overall, this combat scenario, I get it. It was 100% done for the plot to show the power of the combatants, but it was just so poor that I don't understand it. And then obviously there is Jinx and the riders on top and civilians. I wouldn't necessarily. I would say that it's very lucky on both sides that they got in on time. However, it's just kind of like they're lucky that their forces made enough of an advantage and enough of a stir-up in order to disorient the guards, allowing our defenders to properly secure a position once again. We actually even see that their mage, who did not join the fight until what? After it was already over,
Yep.
knock out multiple soldiers with one blast and basically win, or basically tilt the confrontation in their favor. So it's it's just overall very poor, and I am kind of disappointed in them. Also, I'm gonna say this. So this character right here, we'll call him Gloves. I don't know his actual name, and frankly, I don't care. So Gloves right here contains one opponent medal. He gets stuck to the shipping container, and then he gets shot out, right? So remember how I was complaining about the container before? Well,
Yep, now it's even worse.
And now they're hollow? What can you shove in the shipping containers that will turn them, I don't know, slightly better when it comes to combat?
Throw cement in them. Shrapnel.
You can throw cement in them. You can throw any sort of broken metal to be turned into shrapnel, and you can also throw explosives and poison gas containers, which they have access to both of those.
How does it always come back to explosives?
It's almost as if explosives have been a crucial part in every conflict. And the fact that these guys who have access to magic explosives don't use them is ridiculous. Like, it's actually insane. But yeah, as I was stating prior, and to be fair, I'm not gonna hold it against them for them getting assaulted by the magic Ramantra clone. That's not really their fault. That was a
Thank you. That was that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
They even didn't counter him.
Yeah. Also, these what are they called? Do you know? The robots.
I have no idea. They're just kind of robots.
Yeah. But
evolved humans very much.
okay, so the evolved also showed up unexpectedly. That's not really their fault either. I'm not gonna blame that on them. Those are reinforcements with superhuman abilities. Gee, no wonder they won because of that. But the problem is they didn't. They could have very easily stopped their opponents from even winning to begin, even getting this far to begin with. Then when the robots showed up, yeah, I would understand. But the fact that they were doing this bad beforehand, when they had access to better resources, when they had access to longer range artillery, and they had access to hot, very easily defendable positions, it just leads me to going, what the hell are you doing? You know? Like, there's no other way
Yeah.
to put it. And I want to stress this enough. I love the show. This season finale was fantastic. Music was on point. Story was on point. But when it came to the actual war-torn battles in this scenario, it was bad. I very much dislike this, and I think it was handled very poorly. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much everything. I just wanted to talk about that. I don't think anyone will ever talk about this. Um, just
Which
because
is why we did.
pretty much, yeah. Now the question is, will the views reflect it? No, I'm kidding. But I do wonder what what you guys think, just because I don't think I've heard anyone talked about Arcane in a tactical sense. I've obviously heard like, oh, story's great, animation's great, all that jazz, right? But yeah. But I guess to wrap everything up, no surprise, the French company doesn't know how to write a defensive battle. It's almost as if they they got him blitzkrieged before. Anyway, I'm signing out for the night. It is very late, so yeah. Goodbye, everyone, and tell me what you would do differently in this situation if you were Kate, the leading general or leading tactician for the army. Anyway, goodbye.